What's the most adventurous thing I've ever done? I guess it depends on how you're counting. Probably moving to Hawaii as a solo act was the most adventurous thing I've ever done. Just sort of visiting here once and then for a day and then moving years later blindly with no car, no driver's license up a mountain with someone I found on, I think, Craigslist. But then with other people or other person getting married, which was an adventure for both of us because neither my wife Carol nor I ever thought we would get married to anyone. So, yeah, that's an adventure.
Hello. Is this thing live? I guess it is. This is Jeremy Vaeni. I don't have anything fancy schmancy to say. I'm just here on the Big Island at my home, out on the gazebo at like 4:30 in the morning, watching the volcano we live on, Mauna Loa, erupt. And it is beautiful. There's a red glow. The stars are out. There's no ash or smell. And got up and packed a go bag. Good to see all the instrumentation that the volcanologists, or whatever they're called, geologists, I don't know what, use, don't work. Because there was literally no warning, just, hey, your volcano's erupting. Thankfully, it's still all in the caldera as of this recording. But like I said, I don't have anything big and fancy to say. I just wanted to say that because this eruption is fast flowing, if it does decide to flow this way, we have a little plan. We wouldn't make it going up toward the road, toward the highway, probably. We wouldn't have enough time and all that. But we would head down toward the ocean, and we have friends with boats and friends of friends who would have boats coming in. So there's that option. But if this is a very thin road we're on, and if it's log jammed with people, that'll be fun. But my wife and I packed a bag. She, of course, is back asleep because she is smart. And it's like, well, life goes on. And I'm like, well, does it? So I wanted to hop on here and say, safe for now. We'll probably remain safe, ? And it is beautiful. I mean, nature at its most humbling best. So I'm going to go enjoy that in my solitude out here in the dark on the gazebo. And if we don't make it, I just want everyone to know one thing. If there's one thing that you can remember here, it's that everything that I've told you, whether you've listened to me on this Wisdom app or anywhere else, has been the truth to the best of my ability, which is to say the truth. I mean, there may be faults in recollection and things like that, but I never made anything up in terms of any of my experiences. And I just want you to know that. So if I die, what kind of a fucking asshole would I be if I'm lying about that? Sorry for the cuss words, but really. All right. See, I have a guest waiting? Let me see here. Well, I'll try to take a guest on this last thing I'm doing here. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Hello? Hello? God, I'm just like my grandparents on the phone, huh? I don't know. For some reason, it's not letting me do this. But anyway, I'm sorry, guest waiting. I'm not figuring this out. All right. Hopefully there will be next time. Bye-bye. What is my home away from home? I don't have one. It used to be the ocean, but I haven't been snorkeling in a few years. My home is pretty perfect the way it is. Or I could give you some like pseudo-spiritual answer, like the external world is my home away from home, because that's kind of true too. Like just, silence is home, and the noise and stuff produced from silence is kind of feels more and more like home away from home. But let's go with the first one. That's cleaner. Aloha. I didn't realize I was live yet. It's Wise Ask. It's Jeremy. So I guess I just wanted to do a little check-in about life on the exploding volcano, which is Mauna Loa. It's been very interesting. So maybe you've heard this part on the news, maybe not. I don't know. But so far, the initial plume of gas and ash and what's called Pele's hair, which is really a spider web fine glass that can blow around, and nobody wants that in their lungs. All of that from the initial blast off went, well, not toward us. I think north. I think out toward the ocean. Like, I don't think maybe it went over Hilo. I'm not sure. But we have not felt any effects where we live. We live on the south side of the island, on the volcano. In the air, we haven't felt any bad air quality. The vents opening up and the caldera spilling out is happening to the northeast, which is uninhabited. The problem is it's getting down to the highway, and the highway, essentially where it is, it's a steep incline to the left and to the right. So it looks as though there's a ton of magma or lava coming out of there, and it's going to keep erupting for a while, which means it's probably, once it gets to the highway, going to take the highway toward Hilo or toward Kona side, most likely toward Hilo. So that's very worrying for those folks, especially living in the subdivisions along the highway toward Hilo. The last time Mauna Loa erupted, it headed toward Hilo, and this was in 84, I believe. Headed toward Hilo and stopped short. But there was not a highway there at that point, so it was just regular rough terrain. I don't know what the difference will be following, a smoothed, paved road. We'll see. But, this is a volcano, so who knows what'll happen, if that'll even happen. We're not out of the woods yet. Like, a fissure could open up on any side of the volcano and lava, starts heading our way. That will be bad. But in the meantime, it's interesting to me. I've talked about this on Our Undoing Radio, that even the so-called enlightenment experiences that I've shared with you on this Wisdom app, those led to a period of time where I've spoken about this, like I had no sense of boredom and I still don't really, but no sense of fear, no sense of, just like happiness, peace, joy, lovey-dovey stuff. But the fear has come back, and I don't know what that's about. But deep fear of death, like having repeating dreams of usually a tsunami washing over me or something, And when this was like the last episode of Our Undoing Radio that I did for last season, was talking about this fear, was opening up about how this fear of death, even for me, even after all that I know and have experienced and understand about life and death, it's still there. Like, it's back. So what is that? And it's been chronic, like not being able to sleep or hard to get to sleep, because I just have this fear of, like, what if you die right now? You're going to die. You're dying, this sort of anxiety about it. And now, of course, the volcano is going off. And so for the first 2 nights, I was not sleeping at all. I mean, I was up watching the glow, and, it was something. And my anxiety, I think, it was pretty off the charts about all of this. And trying to keep it together, and having psychosomatic issues, like with breathing and stuff, that I thought was gas in the air, until we heard the news that that things were calming down.
somewhat. And then magically, I could breathe just fine after that. So watching myself as I'm going through this, and then I went out, I guess yesterday morning, to watch the sunrise, well, to meditate while the sun was rising and the volcano's going off. And the glow from this volcano is unbelievable. So Kilauea is the other volcano on this island that's perpetually going off, and that glow is unbelievable. And this glow is like 1,000 times that. Like, you can't see Kilauea's glow from pretty much anywhere but over on the volcano there. You can see this glow from probably other islands. Like, this is a huge glow. So to see basically the sun rising in two areas of the sky in the morning is, it's like that equivalent, is amazing. And so I decided to allow the meditation energy, the Kundalini energy, whatever you want to call it, to come alive in the morning and to do its thing, and to just, with no, thing in mind, no instruction, just let it do its thing. And whatever else it did, it completely got rid of my fear. So whatever the maneuverings and the movements and the gestures and the dancing around and all of that it does, this impersonal intelligence does, whatever else it's doing, it got rid of my fear, which is great. So I've been fine. I haven't had any anxiety. It's like, it is what it is. Which is a good place to be. And actually, I mean, this makes a lot of sense out of aloha to me. The sense of aloha, which, people use as a greeting, to say hi or bye, but it also is deeper and has the aspect of love to it. But there's the ineffable quality to aloha. That is the thing that makes it such an interesting thing to say, because even for Hawaiians, there's the undefinable piece to it, which is like, you could say is transpersonal love or impersonal love. So there is the sense that we're all family, that we're all brothers and sisters in some way, even if it's personally not true. And for Hawaiians, for those who have certainly stuck with their culture at least, their sense of aloha does extend beyond the family to everyone. So there's that quality to it. But it's just interesting because being in the midst of this volcano going off, you can also see like when you live on a volcanic island, what is the other choice? Except, you've got acceptance, you've got love and inclusivity, or you've got PTSD. Like, these are your choices, right? You're either going to run screaming mad and there's nowhere to go, at least back in the day before there were like planes and big boats. These are your options, folks. Mental breakdown, PTSD, or acceptance and love. Like, that's it. So now it's got that new element for me to it of like just a practicality about it, of adopting that attitude. So that's all interesting to me. And the other thing is, I don't know how much I've talked about that on this Wisdom app. I've talked about it elsewhere. But moving here, feeling the compulsion to move here, as I did back in 2011, all of a sudden one day. I mean, when I came and visited for the first time and saw this place, I knew I wanted to live here. I didn't know what that meant, but I knew I would be here. And like 5 years went by. And then in 2011, I decided to pack it up and move, and ultimately came here in February 2012. And did I talk about the dolphin dream on the Wisdom app? I had a dream. I'm sorry if this is a retread, but it'll be a fun one at least. I had already decided to come here. I had already packed it up, and I left New York and gone to live with my mom for a couple of months because my sister was getting married in St. Croix, which is one of the Virgin Islands. And so my mom was like, why don't you go see your sister get married and then go to Hawaii? And I was like, okay, fine. So I was living with that. My sister got married, I guess, in the beginning of February, and then I left a few weeks later. I think that's how that went. So, but I was living with my mom from like November 2011 until, February 2012. all ready, packed up to go. I sold off my camera and all my expensive equipment stuff and raised money for like a plane ticket and all this. I was ready. And yet I still had like a dream that should have been like the story should be like, I had this dream and this dolphin told me to move here and that's why I did. But it's the opposite. I was going anyway. Nevertheless, I have a dream where I'm in Kealakekua Bay, which is the first place I went free diving when I visited here those years ago. And in the dream, I'm alone in the bay and it's dark. And this dolphin pops up in front of me and in a male voice. I think I did tell this on this app, and I apologize, but it's just fun. In a male voice, perfect English, this dolphin starts talking to me and telling me I need to move to Hawaii now. I need to leave now. And at first, I'm skeptical because there's a talking dolphin, and in the dream, I'm thinking like at this point, I'm doing a podcast called Paratopia. And with Jeff Ritzman, and we talk about our own high strangeness experiences and interview people. But we were fortunate enough to have some like street cred because we don't go with all the woo-woo new agey stuff. We go with like like we really want to know it's real, not just pretend. And so in the dream, I'm like, oh great, a talking dolphin. Like I'm going to lose all my street cred if I talk about this on the show. So I say to the dolphin, if talking dolphins are real, what else is real? Are mermaids real? And the dolphin says, what is a mermaid? And I say, it's like a half human, half fish. And he says, I have never encountered one in all of my travels. And at that moment, the dream became completely lucid, a completely lucid dream, where I woke up into the fact that I was dreaming and all, because it was so not me speaking to myself, right? Like it had such a quality of not my own unconscious trying to tell me something, but some other communication from elsewhere that I immediately snapped to lucidity in the dream, was aware that I was asleep and dreaming, and was like in the presence of another intelligence and just said, okay, what is it you need to tell me? And the dolphin proceeds to show me a visual of sort of a sort of a 3D topographical map of the United States, and explain to me what is being animated on that map, and essentially, of course, leaving out the big, like, what it is, but explaining that some big cataclysmic event is coming to the East Coast, doesn't say what it is, and everyone's going to be moving to the West Coast. They're going to be trying to stop off in the Midwest, but it's not going to be comfortable for them. It's not going to be habitable. Like the East Coast will be uninhabitable. The middle of the country will be, I guess, fatiguing in some way, where everyone's going to want to move essentially to California. And it's going to be such a crush of people that they're not going to want to stay there for long. They're going to be smothering themselves, and there's going to be nowhere for them to go. They're going to want to come here, and they're probably Alaska, I imagine, the last two states in the union, right, where you could go. I don't know about Alaska, but definitely here was indicated. But they're not going to be able to because the grid's going to be down and there aren't going to be planes. So I've got to get here now. I've got to get here. And I said to the dolphin, but I am. Like, I'm leaving. That's why I'm at my mom's. Like, I've already got this plan. I'm going. So why are you telling me this? He's like, no, you don't understand. You have to get here now, or you have to get there now, and you have to plant your roots. Get there and plant your roots. And when he said that, I knew it to mean both community-wise, the metaphorical planting your roots and getting to know people and becoming a fixture in community, but also literally learn how to farm, which I was a city boy, spent my adult life in Manhattan and Queens and New York, so that would be new. Not really on the agenda for me, but okay. But I just protested anyway, because I was like, well, I am coming, and I can't not go to, I told him this in the dream, I can't not go to my sister's wedding. So, essentially, thanks for the warning, Dream Dolphin, but I'm out. So, and ultimately, he may have been warning me away from a stupid decision I was going to make as a writer, which was that through another podcast, I'd met a woman who had invited me to live with her in San Diego indefinitely before jetting off to Hawaii. So come live with her for as long as I want. She'll take care of me. I can write. I can do whatever I want. She would be like a sugar mama or something. I don't know. But she was also had severe, she was drunk, admittedly. Like, she had some severe issues that would make this not ideal, would make it a horrible situation. And as a writer, I thought, like, well, I have to experience that. Like, there's no way I can pass this up because this is material. I guess this is my own sociopathy coming out, right? Where, like, oh, I'm just going to objectify my life and this woman and do things for the sake of writing. But she ended up bailing on me, and I spent the night in the San Diego airport and then going to Hawaii, ultimately. So she made the decision that I wouldn't make in front of the Dream Dolphin for me. And I have to thank her for that. Because it was important to come and get a feel of all of the various aspects of this island that I could, and learn from the animals and from the plants, and ultimately, literally, plant roots where we live now. I met my wife a few years ago, and before we were married, funny enough, I met her. That was convenient. And also, funny enough, when we got married, we had like a marriage, and then we had like a public celebration. So we had a private marriage with a friend who married us. On a cliffside in one of our favorite, overlooks of the ocean, and just as he said I now pronounce you man and wife, like out of a cartoon, spinner dolphins jumped up out of the ocean. So it was like a Disney wedding in a way. So that was interesting. Is that a callback to this dolphin? No, but it's fun. So, okay, never heard from that Dream Dolphin again. But he had a point. We did need to get here. And when I say we, my wife Carol also felt compelled to be here and to be with me, and had a bunch of her own, ethereal, psychic, whatever signs that this is what she needs to do. And for her, it was also uprooting her out of her own life in New York. And, that's a huge transition, right? But we both felt it. And we both felt like when we found this place, we knew we needed to be here. Like, this place called to us. And it's so spacious, and there's so much you could do here. And we always had the feeling of, we need to do something communal, even though we're not like really communal people. Like, really, we'd like to keep to ourselves. But there's this feeling of like, no, we've got to do something. And at first, that's how I started doing the Living Mystery Symposium. And the idea behind that was that there's a lot of touristy stuff that's expensive, but not a lot of that for locals and for poor people. So why don't we start bringing musicians and speakers to the island who are high quality and make it super cheap for people, and take the financial hit if we have to, but let's just see what happens. So we started doing that, and we thought that was the direction to go, but yet the way that this place is laid out, it is perfect for like building a community here of some sort. But of course, you don't want like a commune or a compound or, anything that gets hairy and dicey all at the same time. But now, I guess I'll just cut to the chase here. Now I'm wondering, after COVID, we started doing the Living Mystery Symposium online. So actually, if you go to YouTube and put in Living Mystery Symposium, you'll have 3 days worth of awesome speakers to listen to, and, talks and stuff of First Nations to mystical sort of talks from various people. People you may have heard of, people you haven't. Okay. But that was online, and that was free to the public because COVID, right? So we couldn't really fulfill the thing that we wanted to do with the symposium that we thought we were supposed to do. And now that this, now that the volcano is going off, and lava is heading toward Hilo, we're thinking, are we supposed to actually open our home up to displaced people if it ends up going toward Hilo or Kona, frankly? Is that what we're supposed to do? Take in displaced people? Maybe that's it. So don't know, but I don't know. It's just interesting because for a couple of years, we've been thinking like, okay, what are we doing here? like we thought we had a plan. We had a real plan, and it involved other people. And then all of that, just one by one, those plans got derailed before COVID, and then during COVID. So it became clear that the thing that we wanted to do was not the thing we were meant to do, if there is such a thing as meant to do. And it sure feels like it. It sure feels like we're here for a reason. So maybe this is it. Maybe the feeling is back of like, oh, okay, maybe we do have a purpose. It's just we wanted it to be one thing and on our time frame. And, Madame Pele here has other plans. I guess we're open for anything, man. So that's all of that. I guess just the last thing I want to say is, it's interesting how, like, the mayor, the governor, all of the people who are involved in trying to keep us safe, are really, to the extent that they do that is also to the extent that, like, I feel like they're being sort of dishonest about this volcano going off to keep tourists here. Like, for instance, they did go around a number of weeks ago especially to Ocean View, the community of Ocean View, because it's sort of a known thing that if the volcano ever goes off, they're like highly likely to get wiped out. Now the volcano has gone off and it's not even near them, so that's great. But that was the thinking, and there was like increased activity at the caldera, earthquake activity. So they actually had these community talks of like, okay, you need a preparedness plan when stuff goes down, right? And this made national news a little bit, but they played it down like, well, yeah, but we would always promote you have a plan. And, the fact is we're telling you this because of this increased activity, but on the other hand, we don't really know what it indicates. It could be that years go by and it settles back down because it's done that before. You've got this increased activity and then all of a sudden it goes away and you're fine. So that's how they were framing it, even as they were saying it then. And now they're like, see, we warned you. And it's like, wait, no. You wanted to keep everyone safe and keep tourists coming by downplaying the warnings you were giving then, and now you want to make it seem as though you're keeping everyone safe and we're always on it. But no, you didn't really tell us then. You told us without telling us because you're trying to tiptoe around stuff. And I feel like that's what they're doing. Like, they're literally saying, it looks like it's probably going to die down, and looks like it's not going toward anywhere that's populated. So please, tourists, don't change your plans. You're safe here. Come here. And at the moment. But the fact is, a fissure event could open up at any minute. Like, at any second, this could all change. And they know that too. It's a volatile situation. So yeah, right now, let's count our blessings. But let's not pretend like, you're keeping anyone safe when you didn't really know that this was even going to happen. Like, for all your instrumentation up there, which admittedly you haven't had a chance to even test out because there hasn't been a volcanic blast since the 80s, since 84, before this new equipment. You haven't had a chance to test it out, so you didn't even know if it would work. And to my mind, this did just come out of nowhere. I mean, it either came out of nowhere or you knew that this was imminent and you didn't tell anyone it was imminent, right? Even though you warned people. Like, so this is the type of like thing that bothers me because it's a conspiracy insofar as insofar as everyone's playing the game in officialdom of trying to keep the economy rolling as we, are potentially incinerated. But it's not a conspiracy in that I don't think anyone's sitting in a room saying, hey, we got to come up with this plan. I think everyone just kind of knows their role in how to frame this in such a way. And they just, like trained puppies, they just do it, right? Nobody has to, it's an invisible leash. They don't have to sit in a room and conspire. They're all on the same page. And I feel like that's a good thing to bring into other types of conspiracy theory, just as a, because I know like people who, I know I'm switching topics here, folks, but just when you think about other conspiracies, not the ones that are like Iran-Contra affair or what happened to Kennedy, like big obvious sort of, known conspiracies or questionable ones. But just any other, pandemic related or whatever questions you may have, just know that a lot of this stuff, the conspiracy isn't what you want it to be. It isn't the big monumental people in a room controlling the world, whatever. It ain't that. It's almost always financial. And so the conspiracy, in terms of like the pandemic, would start around the time that like Pfizer and Moderna decided that they're going to start charging, 150 times the price that they should for their product or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like that's when it becomes, oh, now we're going to bilk you. It's not that the virus isn't real. It's not, it's not like the microchips in the vaccine or any of that garbage. It's how can we take financial advantage of everyone? Are we all on the same page here, folks? Or in the case of Hawaii, it's how do we keep the status quo going and, keep this money flowing so that people aren't scared off. Meanwhile, part of the point of these things is to scare people off. Like the wrong people should not be living here. People who can't handle this, people who are going to turn into PTSD, shouldn't be living here, or people who don't know how to look at the beauty and the awe in awe and all that and understand the dangers on some greater level where it really deeply affects them, probably shouldn't be here. Like the type of tourists who just trash a place and don't care and are like, woo, let me get a selfie next to the lava, woo, that kind of moron. And you think that those people wouldn't exist, but I was told actually that the several people who have died of from eruptions, at least since the 80s, were all tourists doing stupid stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, part of the whole Pele thing is there is a symbolic element to it. Like when Kilauea went off in 2018, or a fissure broke out. I mean, it's always been going off. But when the fissure broke out on the Puna side, what it ran over, I mean, it came up out of a subdivision that was like a gated community, which, no offense to those folks, but, gated community isn't exactly the most Hawaiian way to be. And then ran over the geothermal plant, right? Like, there are some messages here. Like, so where is this going to go? I mean, right now, yes, going to Hilo would be awful. Going to Kona would be awful. But you know what's not so awful? I don't know, blowing smoke at the observatories on Mauna Kea, where they want to build the TMT telescope and then taking out that highway so that they can't do it. I mean, these are possibilities too. I'm just throwing it out there. One more little tidbit of interest, maybe to you, is I didn't realize this, but that in every eruption, Pele shows herself. Pele, you can see her in the smoke and in the fire or in the lava. And a friend texted me a picture that a friend of his took from his place in Puna. And it's like, he didn't tell me what to look for. He just said, hey, look at this. And he was showing me other pictures of the glow at night. And this picture is like, oh, that's a woman. You know, like that's a Hawaiian woman. That's either a ghost or that's Pele. Like there's no, and I want to get permission to publish it. I don't want to just publish it because I don't know the guy. And hopefully I will. But someone else did on, if anyone listening here knows Akaika Marzo, he had run for mayor last time, and was a huge figure in the 2018, community figure helping out during the 2018 aftermath of Kilauea. He posted someone else's post on his Facebook page. So if you go to Akaika Marzo's Facebook page, I mean, it looks like a massive woman doing the hula, dancing hula, in the lava. And it's not photoshopped. I mean, if you zoom in on the picture, you can see that the visual illusion sort of falls apart a little bit. It's not perfect that way, but from the pull back view, it is. And I find that stuff amazing, like there are no two ways about it. And I don't see like gentlemen in top hats, and I don't see like, warriors with, whatever, I don't know, you don't see, other images. You see a woman. I find that fascinating. If it is all just like you trying to see what you want to see. So I was planning on doing a thing on Kundalini here, and once again, I'm just going to hold out. I just wanted to give you an update because the last one was kind of like, I'm out of my gazebo. This is humbling. I'm watching lava. Please, may it stay up there. I just want to let you know I'm okay. But if anyone wants to join in, when last I did this, someone actually tried to be a guest, and for some reason on my phone, I couldn't get it to work. I would press the button where she was appearing, and it would bring me to her page on Wisdom app, but it wouldn't actually bring her into the conversation. But I'm now on the iPad, so I'm pretty sure I can figure this out. If anyone wants to say hi, talk, ask questions, whatever you want to do, say hello. Anyone? I know there are people watching, listening. I see you. Not literally, but figuratively. No? Okay. Well, then I'm going to call it. Thanks for joining me here, those who have. And I promise when next we speak, it will be about Kundalini, what it is and is not, why I know that. And I think I will make it a crossover episode with my next season of Our Undoing Radio. That way I don't have to record the same thing twice. All right. Thanks again for listening. Aloha.
If you could live well anywhere in the world, in what place would you decide to live? Well, physically, for whatever reason, I am exactly where I know I need to be. But I already am living all over the world. And in one sense, we're all on Earth. And nations and boundaries and all of that are fiction, are things that we've made up to form societies and politics and blah, blah. So wherever I am, I'm on Earth, just like you. And also through writing and through podcasting especially, I live in the minds of people all around the world. You listening to this right now are going to take me with you wherever you go, whether you want to or not. Right? Like, love me or hate me, I'm now in your mind rent-free. So in that sense, I'm a world traveler, thanks to you.